So we got the chapter 18 spoilers, and we can like barely really see them at this point. There's no text or anything, so we're gonna have to go off of context clues. So if I get anything wrong, forgive me. But for the most part, it's clear the main thing that's going on in this chapter. So first of all, we are continuing the fight between Serugi with the Rika helmet going against Maru. That's like half of the chapter. And the other half of the chapter, we're coming back to Maharaga versus Dborah, and that's when things get really interesting. We'll get to that, but first let's go over the Serugi versus Maru stuff. So as we saw at the end of the previous chapter, Serugi was able to like manifest Rika from the ring that he has. Although she's not like a autonomous Shikigami the way that she was in the past. She's like a helmet now, I guess, that gives him cursed energy, or at least I'm pretty sure that that's what's going on here. So Serugi with heavenly restriction, 0 cursed energy, but ultra physical human buffs, now also has cursed energy on top of that. Although in this fight, we're not really seeing anything too spectacular from him like I thought that we would. I mean, yeah, he's taking it to Maru for sure. Like, he's throwing rubble at him, which I guess he could just do normally with his heavenly restriction, but I guess he's even stronger now because he has cursed energy reinforcement. He's not really doing any curse techniques, which, you know, we thought maybe he would have, and that still could happen later on. I mean, this fight is only half over at this point, maybe 3/4 of the way through, but it does seem like Maru's anti-gravity question mark curse technique stuff is still going on here, because they're like flying / floating with the rubble, and they are talking a lot in this fight, at least in this sequence. There also is an explanation as to what's going on with Rika, or at least I'm assuming there is, but it's just really hard to make out what is being said here. And as always, we will go over this chapter in full detail once it is officially released on Sunday, so subscribe for that if you haven't already. We only have a couple months of this series left, guys. I think it's probably going to end in March or April at the latest. Also, we're covering Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 on the channel as well, so check out my review / breakdowns for that too if you're, you know, want some other content, I guess. But after like a brief scuffle of this rubble being used as weapons, it looks like Serugi's like headbutting Maru and then like punches him into the water, I think. Then Maru's like, okay, I gotta lock in again, because he locked in before with the third eye. And when he comes out of the water, he steps on the ground, and then suddenly these like saplings start coming out of the ground, and he like makes an entire forest behind him, and he says something. I doubt he's explaining how his curse techniques works, but this is what it is. I mean, we saw that he does have some kind of elemental manipulation, environmental manipulation to some extent, because when he was going against Takeda in his first fight, when he like lost consciousness and the third eye took over, he was able to like create ice, or at least manipulate water and turn it into ice. So I guess he can manipulate like the saplings in the ground or the roots or whatever, and then make them have like hyper growth and manipulate them to some extent or something. Like, this is a part of his chaos and harmony curse technique, or I guess it's just chaos, or maybe they're working together, not really sure. But still, his curse technique is pretty busted, I mean, as we already knew. But we don't really see what else he's able to do with the growth of the forest stuff, but I don't know, maybe he explains further what he can do with it, but that's where it ends. Now we're coming to Maharaga taking on Dborah, and it seems like Maharaga has adapted to the point of where Dborah's light pillar things are not really affecting him anymore, because they're like sticking in Maharaga, and Maharaga just breaks them off and then speed blitzes Dborah. And Dborah like puts his hands on Maharaga's face and tries to like blast him with the light pillar things, but they're just doing nothing again. And Maharaga like slashes Dborah's face, and Dborah is like surprised by this. It like cuts him. Then Maharaga just starts beating down Dborah, and Dborah's like genuinely concerned by this. He's no longer like in his aura farming mode. He's getting beaten down here. He's getting beaten down so much that he's getting sent into a flashback where he's remembering when he was like a teenager, I guess, with Dora, and they're back on Samoria, of course, and they're like carrying these bags and they're talking about something. Again, we'll go over this in detail once it comes out officially on Sunday, but once we come back to the present, moment, he like gets knocked into a building and he is like bleeding and he looks really concerned. And I like this because I guess it paints the narrative that Dborah is kind of like a bully. I mean, he's not like a bully. I mean, we saw that he's not that type of character, but I mean it in the sense of like he's never really had a challenge, I guess, or at least that's the implication here. Now maybe the dialogue here is just saying otherwise. Maybe he has had a challenge in his life, or he hasn't had a challenge in a while, but it just seems like he's so powerful that he hasn't really had to face adversity in his life, or at least in a fight, at least recently. And then we're coming back to this flashback of him talking with Dborah, and once again it makes it seem like Dborah is the greatest guy in the world, which I guess further shows how conflicted Dborah was with having to kill him in order to save his sister. But then also this is showing why Dborah was so willing to go along with Dora's wishes and, you know, leaving Samuria with them to go to Earth. I mean, also as a way of saving his sister, but you know what I mean. Also in this sequence, as Dborah is continuing to beat down Dborah here, he is remembering his sister and something that Dborah is saying, I guess, about saving the Rumelians, because he's also seeing like the Rumelians in his head, like they're like I don't know, looking fondly at Dborah. And this looks to be a power of friendship moment, because after he remembers his sister Dborah and the Rumelians, he suddenly locks in and he like grabs Maharaga's fist, you know, this classic cookie cutter battle manga moment, and he knocks Maharaga away a little bit. And I think his curse technique is being talked about here, because we see like that broken blackout of the text. Then he looks up at Maharaga and like gets into a fighting stance, and he looks very serious, the most serious he's ever looked in the series, and that's where the chapter ends. So this is fascinating. This is pretty much the power of friendship overtaking Dborah here, and if that is the case, that's hilarious and genius, because if there's any way to make a villain truly overpowered, it's not doing, you know, what Kubo did with Yubabak in Bleach. It's not doing what Toriyama does with Black Frieza, you know, so on and so forth. I could keep going, but it's giving the villain or the antagonist the power of friendship, the greatest, most broken, unrivaled power in all of battle manga. Genius. So I'm assuming Dborah is going to win at this point, because not even Maharaga can adapt to the power of friendship and overcome it. I joke, but you know, we'll get more into this on Sunday, because there's so much text to go over that we haven't gone over in this video. But yeah, Dborah is locking in, and I think he's going to show what the blacked out part of his curse technique is, because we've only seen the light aspect of it. So I guess there's like another aspect. Maybe all the Sumerians, if they do have curse techniques, they have like two aspects of them. You know, Cross and Maru have chaos and harmony. Well, I guess Dborah has the same thing going on. Maybe, it seems that way. But let me know what you thought about this chapter in the comments, guys. If you liked it, please give it a like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.